So you may make $500 to $1,500 per property.
Profit?
Profit. We're talking about profit now.
Yeah. The minimum that I would probably make on a property would be like maybe $1,500.
Minimum?
Yeah.
Dang. What's good, world? Welcome back to the Tuned In with Tony podcast show. And I've got my guy, Eugene Fan. And yes, that is his last name, Fan. And he is an Airbnb expert. We've never had anyone on the show talk about Airbnb. Humongous industry. A lot of people need to know about it. So welcome to the show. I've got a lot of questions that the people need to answer. Questions for myself that they need answers to. So welcome to the show, my brother.
Let's go. Let's get it. Appreciate you having me on.
Where you from?
Man, originally from Miami. My background is Haitian. People ask me, hey, that's your real last name?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is. But yeah, it's a Haitian last name. But originally I'm from Miami, born and raised. I relocated to Tampa to go to school. So I've been in Tampa for about 13 years now. So I live in Tampa, Florida.
Okay, cool. And then for you, was Airbnb something you sought out or just something you just accidentally fell into?
I feel like I accidentally fell into it. I wasn't really looking for it when I got into it. I was actually doing something else, doing financial services. And I was looking for a way to invest money. And I said, man, what can I put my money into where I can get a quick return?
Gotcha.
Right? And not have to do a long-term play with like real estate just yet.
Right.
And it was Airbnb.
So would you say Airbnb is good for people who want to get into real estate, but they're not really like ready to put the money into real estate? Like, is it a faster return?
Yeah, it's a faster return. So I would say for people that don't have a lot of capital, that don't want to wait a long time to make their money back, yeah, Airbnb is definitely a perfect industry to get into.
Okay.
And then you still get the experience as if you was in real estate without having to own no property if you go that route.
Got you. And then for people who are just thinking about this too, like what type of time commitment has Airbnb been for you? And the reason why I ask is I'm thinking for people who have maybe a spouse that doesn't work, or they're just looking at like, man, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I need something that kind of, isn't crazy strenuous. Like, does this fit in that criteria?
Yeah, definitely. When we first started off, you got to put a lot of work in to kind of understand it, look for properties and things like that. But when it comes to just managing a unit and everything like that, like it's not a lot of time involved. And I look at it like this, everyone got a phone, right? You can literally manage your business from your phone.
Yeah.
Manage it from the phone with setting up system, because you have an Airbnb app and everybody got either an iPhone or an Android. And guess what? They have the app Airbnb.
Right.
So now you could get a unit, list of property, you can get bookings and get paid.
Got you. What did you go to? Did you go to 4-year university?
4-year university.
Where'd you go?
USF in Tampa.
Okay, and what'd you major in?
The funny thing is I majored in criminal justice and social work.
So it has nothing to do with
business. Nothing to do with Airbnb.
Got you. Yeah. So then when you first came out, just to hear some of your background story, like what was like you right out of school? What were you doing?
Out of school, when I started graduating, I did social work. So I did social work for like a year. So I went to traditional route, because most people think about it like we hear growing up instilled in us: go to school, go to college, you do what? Just get a job.
Just get a job.
And nowadays it stands for just over broke.
Yeah.
And literally, I fell in that category. I was broke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I was graduating college, so I thought that, hey, me getting this college degree, me having experience in doing internships,
right?
That when I work, I'll be able to obtain financial freedom. You know what I'm saying? I was able to get the American dream, but to find out was the American nightmare.
Yeah.
And I was living paycheck to paycheck, overwork, underpaid, and kind of following the same footpath as my dad. Because unfortunately my mom passed away when I was younger. So my goal, always appreciated, my goal always when I was younger was like, hey, look, I see my dad struggle. I want to figure out a way, how can I bring financial freedom for my family? Right. So I thought going to college, getting a job, doing that was going to make it happen, and it didn't. And then that's what led me to get into entrepreneurship. I did that job for like a year. Yeah. And I said, nah, that's it. I quit. I said, I'm going to take a chance on me. And we invested into myself. We started my first business, which was a car dealership.
You had a car dealership?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That doesn't even seem like someone's first business. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm a type of person, like I'm a risk taker, right? Yeah. Number one. And I wanted to do something that I could relate with. And I'm a guy, I like cars. So you know what? Well, let me do something where it's not just, hey, just about making money. I like cars. I can make money at the same time, and I can also control my time. So that was the first business we got into after college.
Okay, so you get into a car dealership. You actually like had used cars for sale? I'm assuming?
Used cars for sales, yeah. So we were able to purchase vehicles from the auction, and we sold them. So my thought was, and which was a great idea, was like, you know what? I know a lot of college students that go to college don't have no car. Right. It's very difficult to figure out how to get their first car. So you know what? Well, I could be able to bring help the college students get a vehicle.
Right.
So that was the very first thing we started to do, and is help college students get into vehicles, or people that need to get a vehicle, single mom or just a family who's trying to figure a way out that they have opportunity to purchase a vehicle from a new car store. Yeah. We get assistance with financing and things like that. We're purchasing a car.
Okay. And how long did you do that?
We did that for like 6 years.
Dang. So you were committed to the car dealership.
Yeah, locked in. Yeah.
Okay. And then what stopped it for you?
As I mature in business, I wanted to have time freedom. Like the car business, because it's a brick and mortar, it involves a lot of time, like overseeing, managing, going to the auctions. I got to a point, I got married.
Yeah.
I got to a point that I want to have time freedom. Like I said, like when I go back, I think about all the times I really didn't see my dad, right?
Yeah.
Not because he didn't want to be in my life, but he was doing what everybody does, work.
Right.
He was working 7 days a week. He had 2 jobs. Nowadays, 2 jobs for 2 people. And I barely saw him because of that. So I always thought to myself, well, you know what? I want to have freedom. I want to control my time. And this business is not going to make it happen. Yeah. I can make the money, but I don't have time to enjoy the money.
Right.
So I started thinking, what can I do where I could get more of my time freedom back? And I looked into the financial services because I seen a lot of our people uneducated when it comes to financial literacy.
Right.
And, some banks, some financing companies would charge people outrageous interest rates.
Yes.
In Florida, it could go up to 28% interest.
28%?
Dang. Literally. So a lot of our people's getting taken advantage of by the banks because guess what? They was uneducated.
Yeah.
Kind of think about it. When you was in school, like, did you have any classes or course that taught you about credit, home ownership, financial literacy? Nah.
That's what's so crazy just about the school system in itself, too. Pull the mic just a little bit closer.
Okay.
But that's just what's so crazy about the system itself, where you said, like, we go to school, we're taught these things, but we're not taught how to be independent, right? I had even heard something too. I haven't done my research, so don't quote me, but they were saying, like, back in the day, the Rothschilds invested heavily into the education system. Reason being is because they needed employees. So if you think of the foundation of the education system, it's only made for people to be employees. So like you said, the American dream was go to school, go to college, graduate in 4 years, just get the job to be just over broke.
Facts.
And that's what we're seeing so much. And then, of course, the narrative is changing now with entrepreneurship. Because I remember, like, I'm 32, so I remember when I was first coming up, it was like entrepreneurship was so risky. Everyone talked about risk. Now it's getting a little bit hotter where everybody wants, of course, like post-pandemic and stuff like that. But so, like, after that, what was the next thing that you jumped into before Airbnb? And the reason I want to ask is because I want people to see that, you're just like them, that they can do Airbnb, that they may be at a job that they're ready to get out of. You know what I'm saying? So what was the next thing?
100%. So, I did the car business for 6 years. And then I transitioned to financial services where we help people with their finances, their credit, and things like that. As my wife's a real estate agent. And what got me into Airbnb, when I told people, like, you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have a lot of experience. You just got to make that decision and the willpower to get into it. So I thought to myself, well, you know what? I'm going to learn as much as I learned as possible at Airbnb, figure out how can I get into the industry because, I'm like most people when I first got started. I thought you had to purchase a property. Yeah. I thought you had to get a mortgage on a house and then you could do Airbnb.
Right.
But then when I find out you could do rental arbitrage, it was game over.
So let's break down the key word of rental arbitrage. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so basically think about it as rental arbitrage is basically you could rent out somebody else's property, right? Let's say as a private landlord, they're renting out their house and you could rent out their property. Yeah. You could get permission from them that they'll allow you to be able to sublet it to somebody else and you're able to market on, third-party platforms like Airbnb, Vrbo, different platforms with their permission and make money on their property. Dang. So you don't got to buy it. So I thought that you had to purchase a property, pay $300,000, $400,000, get a mortgage, and do it. But once I found out you could rent somebody property with their permission, list it on Airbnb, and get paid as if you own it without owning it, oh man, it was dope.
Dang. So what would you say? Because that sounds better to me, and the reason why is it seems like it's kind of a headache trying to go through the apartment complex versus finding homes like single family homes where they really are focused more on cash flow. Because let's look at it this way. You got the apartment complex. They're humongous companies usually. Correct. Owners aren't even there. And their key thing is making sure the majority is happy, which being their residents.
The residents.
But then you got Bob over here who owns a house. Maybe it's passed down to him or whatever. He just doesn't want it to be a headache and lose money on it. So it seems like there's a bigger market on his side for the less barrier to entry, I should say. And is that kind of the route you've been taking versus apartment complex or what?
So I do both. Okay. Right? I do a little bit of both. I do the apartments and I also do the houses as well too. And it's a benefit, it's a pros and cons for both, right? What I tell people, because sometimes with a single family, It could cost a little bit more because you got to furnish it. You got more rooms in the house, so it may cost you maybe $4,000 to furnish it.
Yeah.
You know, to get the lease, it maybe cost you maybe another $4,000. So it costs a little bit more to maybe get into a house, but the profit margins are a whole lot bigger. Apartment complex may be cheaper to get into it. You're just paying the first month. Sometimes no security deposit, depending on your credit.
Yeah.
And then you just furnishing a 1-bedroom. You make anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 or $4,000 on that one apartment.
A month?
You have a month.
That's crazy. So let's just talk about it this way too, because I love tearing down the objecting beliefs so people can just listen. You know what I'm saying? So when they first get into it, you say 2,000 to 3,000, right? Maybe 4 sometimes, right? Today's rents 1,500 to 1,700, and then utilities. So you may make 500 to 1,500 per property.
Profit?
Profit. We're talking about profit now.
Yeah. The minimum that I would probably make on a property would be like maybe 1,500.
Minimum?
Yeah.
Dang. On an apartment complex?
On an apartment complex, 1,500.
Okay.
Profit-wise, after expenses, after paying the rent, utilities, cleaning fees, 1,500.
Dang, that's what's up.
Minimum, that's on the low end. The low end, yeah.
Yeah, because I even see now that Airbnb has this thing where I guess they partnered with apartment complexes where you can find it, but it shows like, like $400 a month profit.
Yeah. And those numbers are kind of off. It's not exactly accurate, right? It's giving you an estimate of profit that you can make on a property. Because most people probably do it part-time. They may still live in the apartment.
Yeah.
Rent out the other room.
And I think that's what those were, because they had like a cap to how long you could do it and got you.
Yeah. So with houses, you could probably make $5,000 to $6,000 after expenses.
Dang.
With a house. So we got a house right now that we got, and it worked out really, really dope. So we spoke to the landlord. It was like, hey, while me and my wife was building one of our houses, we was building a house, rented out a house. We rented it for like a year. Then our house was finished getting built. So I told the landlord I may not renew. Just like, hey, you've been paying rent on time and things like this. It was during the pandemic because, we work from home. So we always paid rent. And then he was like, hey, I asked him, I said, hey, well, I will rent it again if you allow me to be able to do short-term rental with the unit, right? I maintain the property, do X, Y, and Z. I will do the lease with you, right? He wanted $1,500. I said, look, if you allow me to do short-term rental, I'll give you $1,750 a month. Yeah. He's in New York. Yeah. Right. They don't want to come back to Florida. So look, we want to stay in New York. We got family here. We don't come back to Florida to maintain the property. Yeah. He doesn't know the market right now in Florida. The market is for a 3-2 house is like $2,500. I was like, he's $1,750. He's like, okay, let's do it. So we signed a year lease. He
don't want the problem.
He don't want to deal with it. He don't want to come back to Florida and deal with the property. He didn't want to do it. I said, no problem. Yeah. So now we're able to make on that particular house $5,000 to $6,000 in profit after expenses. We could charge $300 per day for someone staying there. Yeah. Right. So let's say someone stays there for a whole month. That's $9,000 in revenue minus expenses. Probably looking at $6,000 in profit that we do on a house monthly on just one house.
Dang. And what do you like better? Do you like the long-term rentals or the short-term? And the reason why I ask is because I don't know, is the business model better when the people are in and out, or were they just stuck there?
That's a great question. It's the long-term.
Got you.
Right, the long-term rentals, because when you're doing in and out, you got to get your cleaning staff to clean the unit. It's just too much in and out. And typically, when you get those type of people that are just on vacation, they may not maintain the property as well. Right. So we love, now what we've been doing is niching it down towards travel workers, right? Towards travel nurses. Yeah. That stay for 2 to 3 months at a time. You get to see the money better and you can scale the business better. Right. Right. And, typically our travel nurses will stay for about 3 months. And sometimes they'll pay us a month for their stay. So let's say we want to charge $4,000 a month or $5,000 a month, they will pay us $15,000 up front. Right, for their stay. So now you can scale the business better. You don't got to worry about that property. So yeah, we're focusing on travel workers and travel nurses.
Got you. I've been hearing people talk about travel nurses as being such a great niche market. 1, professional. 2, they usually don't have a lot of people with them. 3, it's not that long. So how do you target that audience?
Correct. That's a great question. So I look at it just like fishing. You ever go fishing before?
Hey, I've been fishing.
You've been fishing? So it's like you go fishing, right? So if you want a nice, nice sized fish, you're not going to put this baby squid on that hook, right? That bait, right? So if you want a big fish, maybe a snapper, maybe a nice big grouper, you got to put some different bait on there, right? Right. So that's the same thing. So you want to, I tell my mentees, I tell people, you want to get a unit that's near a hospital, number 1, or that's near downtown in your city, right? Because if it's near a hospital, most likely you're going to attract maybe a medical professional that want to travel to work at that hospital if they have an assignment there, because they wouldn't be close to their job site because they're working a lot of hours, 16 hours sometimes, right? Or maybe a long shift and they don't want to drive too far away from their assignment.
Right.
Or even a professional, most of the times they're conducting business downtowns, right? You think about business, most people want to conduct business downtown. So we look to get units near that area.
Right.
But another thing that we do to attract these individuals, that we list our units on nationalcorporatehousing.com. And then also we list it on Furnish Finders to attract those professionals. And the other thing that we do on our listing is that we put in our description, our Airbnb listing, which is a plus, is that we will give you a discount for long-term stays, 28 days or more.
Okay.
So now we're attracting people. Hey, look, if I'm going to stay long-term, I could get a discount. I'm going to go here.
Got you.
Right. So I make it a win-win. So now it's like, hey, they get to save some money. I get to see most of my profit up front and everybody wins.
Got you. One thing that I'm thinking about too is just like a marketing ploy is everyone has a different strategy. Some people's is super themed out Airbnbs. If you're going for this travel nurse, this long-term stay, are you going for like more of a very cozy homes type of style house that makes them be like, this could be home for a month?
Yeah, facts. That's what I do. So we make it a cozy vibe. So we make sure we get, usually for our one bedroom, if it's a 1-bedroom apartment, we make sure we get a king size bed, get some nice, decorations in there, make it nice and cozy, get a nice size couch, put TVs in the living room, TV in the bedroom, is make sure it's cozy for them, right? So it's comfortable so they can feel like they're at home. Because now, like when I was looking at the stats, because I was looking at the numbers, right? Numbers is key with business.
Right.
So looking at the stats last year with statistics, it shows that the first quarter of 2022, the revenue that Airbnb did as a whole as a company, it did $1 billion in 3 months.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Right. Last year. So, and then it shows 3.4 people that travels when they stay longer. It'd rather be an Airbnb, people that travel.
Yeah.
They stayed 3-4 times longer because now
Then a hotel?
They don't want to be in a hotel. Yeah.
Right,
They're in a hotel. They don't want to be in a hotel because a hotel is like a studio vibe, right? So it's like, hey, I don't want to be here tight. I don't want to be here for 3 months. So they're looking for places on Airbnb. Right. So it's in high demand. So now it's like, okay, you know what? Well, if it's in high demand, I'm going to cater to these individuals because we're going to cater to them. We get to make more money and it's a win-win. So that's what we've been doing and strategizing with the business.
Got you. And then when it comes to Airbnb as well, like what's one of the quickest ways to just fail or make the wrong decision? Because I remember one time when I was thinking about it and I was like, this isn't the best area, but this house is super affordable. Is like, how key is location? Location
is important, right? Yeah. And I always say this, just because a landlord or apartment complex tell you, yes, that you could do Airbnb or short-term rental, doesn't mean it's a good decision to do it there.
Got you.
Right? Because the numbers may not be good. So what I always tell people, you want to know your numbers up front. You want to know what's the estimate profit or revenue I can make on this particular location. And the best way to do that is to do comps, right? In real estate, realtors use the term comps, which is called comparables. Right. They use a system and an MLS for comparables. So in Airbnb, you could use systems such as MatchVisor. You could use B&B Calc,
AirDNA
to look at the numbers and see what's the potential profit you can make and look at the comparables in that area. Then you make your decision to know if it's profitable. So if it's within your margin where you want to be at. For me, I look at if it's an apartment, the minimum I would make, if I want to take it, it would be $1,500. I want to make sure I can make anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 in profit in that particular unit. If I can't do that, I don't want to be in it. So that's very, very key. And a lot of people make that mistake when they first do Airbnb. They get the wrong location, not making no profit. And I've seen a lot of people make this mistake and end up not doing the business the right way. Yeah. So you want to know your numbers and leverage these apps. Just look at the numbers. If the numbers make sense, do it. If it don't make sense, look for the other one.
Got you. And that makes sense too, because I think so many people can focus on finally getting a yes that you just make the complete wrong decision.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And then what's the play too with like, well, just to back it up a little bit, when you talk about Airbnb doing $1 billion, right? I remember when I was seeing the news, like Airbnb bust, Airbnb's going down, but it doesn't seem like it is. Can you just speak on that for anyone who's been reading or hearing that?
Yeah, most definitely. And the reason why is because, it became very popular in 2020.
Right.
After the pandemic, after we had the shutdown. So a lot of people have been getting into it, but it was a big boom of people looking to travel. Because think about it, in the pandemic, we was on lockdown. Yeah. We couldn't go nowhere for a couple
weeks. To get out.
We was on lockdown, like, hey, I can't travel. Right. So people stuck. So once they finally gave us freedom, say, you know what? I could travel again. Yeah. Everybody and their mama was traveling, right? Yeah. So it was a big increase, right? So it was a big boom. And it's just like sometimes, with stocks, it may not show the right number, because it's just on a run. So once it began to mellow out, people were like, whoa, it's not the same how it was after the pandemic.
And that was every industry.
It's getting back to where it was before.
Right.
But it's still peaking and growing. And that's what a lot of new hosts, what they've been experiencing, like, oh man, it's Airbnb bust. No, it's not going to pan out. No, you just don't understand the business.
Right.
It was just a big peak because it was a big boom when everyone was able to travel again. But it mellowed out to exactly where it needed to be. And it did take an increase again. But yeah, it's definitely profitable and definitely doing good.
Got you. What are some of the headaches you see? And I'm asking this from current event space owner. When I asked you about the apartment complex and the single family, I remember I've got a video doing really well on my channel when I opened Black Label Event Space. It was a single owner that owned it. And I had dealt with so many issues from incorrectly leasing a space from an apartment complex because noise complaints, blah, 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 blah. So when I found this guy that owned the building, I thought it would be better. It was worse. And the reason why was because he was so attached to his property versus the apartment complex, you can kind of hide, you know what I'm saying? Like, or a property management company, you can kind of hide in there. What are some of the pros and cons you've seen with apartment complex and single family home?
Yeah, so what I see sometimes with the apartment complex, because, you know, obviously you may have neighbors, right? Tenants that's there. And if it's, you know, noise with your guests that there, it may cause an issue. You know, sometimes that may happen. So I say that's kind of the issue with the apartment complex. And sometimes just with maybe the parking situation may be difficult for the guests sometimes.
Yeah.
But typically, you know, those would be those issues. You may get maybe a complaint, a noise complaint, and the leasing office may reach out to you, hey, this noise complaint is going on. Can you figure, you know, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But when it comes to the houses, you know, typically the landlord's not that attached. They're not like, hey, what's going on? And sometimes the landlords that we have, they're not in the same city. They're not in the same town. That's the best part. So what they're all concerned about, and I put myself in their shoes, is because you want to understand, you know, how to approach them. Put yourself in their shoes, right? Because sometimes it's their property. But the biggest thing they're concerned about is, am I going to get my rent on time?
Yeah.
And is my property going to be maintained?
Right.
So when I answer those questions for those landlords, they're like confident, okay, you know what? I'm going to get my rent and I'm going to make sure my property is maintained. Because what happens is, and the reason why, you know, apartment complex, some of them allow short-term rental is because the occupancy rate, right? Because, you know, if it's not fully rented out, they're losing money that it could be making. So we come in and we help them because we're filling up the occupancy rate for the units they don't have filled up.
Yeah.
So it's a win for them.
Right.
And even with the landlord, because now, again, the rent market could change, but for us, we're doing business. So we're going to continue to pay them because we're making money. So now it's a benefit for them. So, you know, with the landlords, they're not really that attached. You know, I don't never really hear from them. Only thing they is want to worry about their rent. My property's maintained. Okay, cool. They're good. So sometimes you may get some issues with apartment complex, just with the parking for us that we notice. And then also just sometimes with the noise complaints. But typically, you know, we let the place know that we're doing it because we're doing it. We're getting under our corporate name. We let them know, hey, we're doing Airbnb here and we have their permission to do it. So it's not really no issue there, but it just, you know, sometimes they have guests and, you know, be a noise complaint. And then one thing that I kind of like for us, we never had any issues, is no one tried to do house parties. You know, we had some issues, some people smoke in a unit and, you know, we find them now. Like, hey, look, you get caught smoking, we charging you. Hey, we charge you $500.
Yeah, you can smell that as soon as you walk in.
You walk in. Yeah, some people, you know, smoke. And I tell people, you know, hey, look, for me, like, hey, I don't care if you smoke, just not in the unit. Like, just
outside.
Outside somewhere. Some of them still don't respect smoking in the unit. They're going to like, I'm going to spray some air freshener. You're not going to smell it.
Yeah.
Come on. We still going to smell it.
So do you usually see more, and you say you don't have this often, is the more prone to have a house party in the single family home than the apartment complex?
I would say single family home.
Got you.
Single family home. And in a way, you know, you want to set it in the rules, right? And, you know, for the single family homes, we set minimum stays.
Yeah.
Right? It's minimum stays for 7 days or more. We're not doing 3-day stays in the home because someone could try to do a party. So no minimum stays.
Weekends?
No.
Okay.
It's a minimum 7 days to 30 days. Sometimes we even do 28 days.
That's crazy.
No, but again, we don't want
sense though.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like there's been a time when I've traveled and then we stayed it was like Valentine's and then we just were like, oh, let's get a crib. You see what I'm saying? But it was only for the weekend though. You see what I'm saying? But it makes sense on the business side.
The business side, yeah. Wow. So we do, you know,
that's a very easy way to not have parties.
Yeah, minimum 7 days. No one's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna do a party, I'm gonna rent it for 7 days and pay $2,000 for a week and do a part. Nah, they're not going to do that, right? They're going to look for a place they could do one stay or a weekend stay. So we don't do that. But, I have some issues. So I tell people, don't always, just expect a problem to happen. Don't go in thinking that everything's going to be perfect, because you're going to set yourself up for failure. Yeah. One thing I'll tell, one story, which is crazy, like 4th of July weekend, like the guests, reached out to us and said, hey, look, I'm sorry to tell you, it was at the house. Hey, my kids broke a window. They was throwing the football around and, broke a window. I was like, oh, come on. So literally broke a window. Yeah. And this is on a house, right? The house was built in 2016. So the one window cost like $2,000 just to replace. Sheesh. But they had insurance, insurance kicked in and covered it. But when our handyman team went to go look at it, it had a bag on the window. When we took the bag out, it was like firecracker residue. Right. So I guess they were doing fireworks and aimed it at the house. Yeah. And it hit through the window. I was like, what? So I always tell people, just always expect something may happen.
What's funny is that she should just told the truth.
Yeah, she told the truth. Like we found out and I was like, hey, I told her, I was like, hey, your kids did fireworks, which is dangerous, Mm-hmm. I say they did fireworks, but she had insurance and insurance covered the cost. So I tell people, hey, stuff may happen. Airbnb have insurance, but you also could get insurance outside of that. So that way, when you do have a stay, if anything happen, you get reimbursed for any damages that happen. Because we have some stuff that get damaged, but we get reimbursed.
Got you.
Cost of doing business. You have stuff that happens.
And I was still on the comparables, but one thing that I do want to speak about is the insurance with the Airbnb. So say, for instance, I've heard Airbnb insurance is great versus I've heard like with Turo, it takes a long time to get paid out. So if Airbnb's insurance is great, what makes you want to go through the guest insurance?
Because certain platforms, like Verbo, they make the guest get insurance. So they don't provide it. So they make the guest get insurance. Okay. And you go through their insurance provider. And that way it takes a little bit longer. I'm not going to lie, it takes a little bit longer. But if it's through Airbnb and their insurance kicks in, usually it's within 72 hours we get paid out, right?
72 hours? 72 hours. Quick.
Pretty quick. So what they do, if the guest damaged it, we had a guest, I forgot what, they broke something, right? Yeah. We took pictures of what they damaged. Matter of fact, it was like this. It was like a boyfriend, girlfriend, was like a hole in the wall. Yeah. Right? And then we took pictures, got an estimate how much it cost. We reached out to the guest. Airbnb will give the guest 48 hours to respond, to pay how much it costs to fix whatever they damage. If they don't respond, their resolution team will kick in. You'll send them all the receipts, documentations, pictures. They will review it. Typically 72 hours, you'll get a direct deposit in your account for whatever the cost was.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so it's pretty quick.
Yeah, okay. So from doing the comparison, it seems like from what you said, the single family homes is more profitable and the best way to go. Yeah. And then you saying you can find these by now. This is another question. When you're looking for this, you had a direct connection with this landlord from previously staying there. He had trust. How do you find these being cold? You're a cold audience. They don't know who you are. How do you do that?
Yeah, so if you're first looking to get started in Airbnb, you can leverage so many different ways to do it. So the very first way is you can leverage Zillow, right? Mm-hmm. You could do rentals. Now, you want to know, okay, well, I want to know a little bit about the industry. So when I'm reaching out to them, I approach them the right way, right? Mm-hmm. You want to present yourself as a company, let them know, look, I'm looking to do short-term rental. I see you have a rental. You want to do a tour, and that shows that you're serious. Because a lot of times they get a lot of phone calls, right? People think they're just asking questions, they're not serious. So look for a rental on Zillow. Look at the numbers, put it in a Match Advisor or AirDNA, see if the numbers make sense. If it makes sense, reach out to the landlord, or sometimes they may have a listing agent. Reach out to the listing agent, let them know what you're doing. Hey, look, I do short-term rental. Will this landlord allow it? If they allow it, can I do a tour?
Is there kind of like when they hear that, are they like, ugh?
No, once you explain it to them, sometimes they are like, look, I don't do Airbnb, I don't allow it. And I tell people, like, it's a numbers game. Yeah. Right? So don't just expect when you make that first phone call, you're going to get that first yes. Yeah. And I always say this, I have a saying that, look, when you get no's in life, it's going to build your confidence. It's going to make you have thick skin. Yeah. But once you get that yes, it's going to start building your bank account. So go through the numbers. So I tell people, like, make a list of like 20 numbers, 20 places that you probably like, and call. You are going to get a yes. You're going to get some no's. And once you get that yes, go for it, right? So I tell people, again, depending on your budget, if your budget's not that high, you may go for an apartment. But we have different methods where you can leverage the bank's money. Yeah. Right? So you can leverage OPM. So if you want to use all of your capital or your money you have, you can leverage business credit. You can leverage your personal credit to borrow the money to pay the cost for the first month, because you have some expenses, the first month rent, security deposit, furnishing the unit, right? Decorating the unit. So now you can leverage, and typically it could cost you from $5,000 to $8,000 for your first unit.
Oh, that's
to get
it?
Set up, yeah, maybe $8,000, $9,000 the most, yeah.
Okay, nice. I thought it was more than that. Nah. So that's not bad at all.
Nah. Yeah. And typically you break even within a month, 2 months, and you break even and you're cash flowing.
Would you say like probably try to get like a 0% interest credit card, fund it that way, put all the profits towards that, and then in 6 months you're in the green?
That's it, yeah. So sometimes you could be in the green literally within like 2 months.
Dang.
Like literally in the green within like 2 months with the property.
Okay.
That you have. So literally, you get a 0% interest credit card. To me, that's free money. And leverage that money to make more money, because most of us, we have that mindset like to save money.
Right.
Save your money. Like you can't save your way to wealth.
Yeah,
you know? And we got to know how to be the bank.
Right.
Because think about it. The bank do the same thing anyways. They borrow our money. We put our money to the bank account. Yep. What do? They lend it out.
Yeah.
They don't have, you see what happened with the bank, bank
Silicon
situation,
Valley,
Silicon Valley, right? They lend it out the money, then they have no money at all, right? So, and they make money on the interest. They charge other people 5 to 15% interest to make the money and give us 0.0001%. Like,
which
I don't
is
want
nothing.
Ain't no money
at all,
right? Yeah. So, but we could flip the script, because most people's like, well, that's not fair, But guess what? I think it's fair, Tony. I think it's fair.
Yeah.
Right? Because guess what? We could play the same game. You could borrow their money, invest it, make a return, make profit, pay them back, and keep the difference.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. So someone who's in Airbnb, maybe they have a fear. Like, it seems like you're doing it the right way, the professional way. It's set up right. I noticed that some people sneak and get these apartment complexes as if they're just doing them themselves. Is that a scary way to do it, because you could get found out and they cancel your lease?
You can get kicked out. I have some people that did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Didn't learn how to do it, right? And they got kicked out, because they were just trying to cut corners. And in life, you don't want to cut corners. You want to figure out, how can I do this the right way? You want to learn. You want to get some knowledge. You want to get some background to figure out, how can I do this the right way?
Yeah.
Right. And it could be costly, because you could get evicted. You may have to still pay the full term of the lease because you signed a contract and an agreement. They could take you to court. So sometimes it's not worth the headache, right? Because you're losing money in a long run, because if you get caught, they're going to find out. Like, anything that happens in the dark, they're going to come to light.
Because they could just say, hey, you can't Airbnb, but you're still going to stay here.
Yeah, that's it. You signed the lease.
Like, whatever it is.
You signed the lease, right?
Yeah.
So, I tell people, and no, just make sure that you get it. You get the permission that hey, you are able to do Airbnb short-term rental, and that they'll allow it, and you don't have to run into those issues. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. Not putting right descriptions in my listings, and I'm not taking professional photos. So it's just a lot of things that you want to learn. I was going to
ask you about that. So like, you shouldn't just take iPhone pictures on 0.5.
You shouldn't just take your phone and be like, let me take a picture on my phone and list it. Like, it's a big negative.
There's an art to people who take real estate photos.
Yeah. I mean, reach out to a real estate professional. It's just like, hey, if I want to go to a professional, like, I know you do great funnels. If I want to go to someone that do funnels, hey, look, I'm going to look for that expert professionals. Let me talk to you. Go ahead and do my funnel for me. Go ahead and make my website for me. You know? And that's the thing where I tell people, find that expert and pay them. Yeah. So that way you can get the result that you want. So when it comes to listing your pictures on your Airbnb listing, get a real estate photographer, pay them, right? You could leverage websites like Craigslist to locate them, Instagram to locate photographers, look at their portfolio, see what they've done before, hire them to take your pictures. And now you got good pictures, because when it comes to the algorithm, but when it comes to people looking to book your unit, they're gonna look at the pictures. Yeah. Right? And the pictures tell everything. They say this, pictures say 1,000 words. Right. So your picture's dark, it could be a nice unit, decorated nicely, but if it's not presented well, you're gonna leave money on the table.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it makes sense to do it the right way too, because I just remember with my event space, this was a big mistake that I made, and it could have been way worse than it was, but I just thought that when you sign a commercial lease, if people are in the building, you get a retail lease. Not knowing that retail is for store, right? So I signed the lease as a retail, kind of told them what I was going to do, and then had my first event. It was like they told me it was going to be a college group, bonding for their first small group too, right? Oh my gosh, bro, I went out of town. It was 200 college kids outside of this place. Neighbors were yelling, police was there, I'm out of town. So then the property people fly from New York that own it, and we have to have a meeting, and they almost shut me down and everything, but somehow they kind of let me do it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm just thinking about the people that are sneaking to do the Airbnb in the wrong way. So it's like, you may sneak, get approved faster, but it's not worth the headache of being stuck in a lease after you expend this money and now you can't rent it out no more. You know what I mean?
Facts. So it's always best to go in with the right way, doing the right way the first time.
Got you. And then how do you have to set yourself up to do corporate leasing? Is it any different than starting an LLC?
Yeah, so doing an LLC, but you want to do different things as well too. So you want to get your LLC, you want to get your EIN number, get a commercial address, leverage getting a virtual address, make sure it's like a suite. It's not just a PO box when you're doing that. And then also get a DUNS number. Right. So if you need assistance getting it set up, get like LegalZoom, Inc. file to get this set up, but you also need a DUNS number. Another thing I tell a lot of people to do is get a website, get a generic website, right? Don't use a Gmail email. Go to GoDaddy, get a domain, make a default website.
Yeah.
Right, about your company, about your brand and what you're doing.
So when they look you up,
you look like you're a legitimate company, and then you want to also, what you want to do is get some vendors as well too, because if you want to go the apartment route, some of them, they're going to look at your business credit profile. And what they look at is typically looking at your DUNS profile. They're looking at to see if you have a PEDX score. Yeah. So you could generate a PEDX score easily within like 60 days, 30 days, PEDX score. So begin to build that profile up, because there's some things that they look at. And one great way, which I love about corporate leases and business, is that sometimes they're not looking at your personal credit. Yeah. Look at your business. So if you have less than perfect credit, like, well, I want to get into the game, I got some money, but my credit's an issue. They don't look at your personal credit. They're going to look at your business profile to get into the unit. Yeah,
that makes sense. So also with Airbnb as well, what's the difference between the VRBO? Is there or do you just got to use all the platforms together?
You want to use all the platforms together. For me, this is 3 ways that I do. I like to keep it very simple. I use Airbnb, I use Verbo, and I also have a direct booking website where people could book directly through me.
So people actually directly book?
Yeah, directly book through me.
How do they do that? Or is this repeat?
So one is repeat, but also we have a website where we market as well too, but also we have a direct booking website, and it's linked to a system and a software, which is a channel manager / property management system. Yeah. And we have all of our listings there, and it will put it on a website. We get to market ourselves.
How do people find that website?
Where we promote it, you can leverage like Facebook, Instagram, but also we have repeat clients, and we put them in a database. Right. So now we can reach out to them and let them know, hey, this is our website. And now if you want to book again, you can book directly through us. And what that does is it saves the guests, because Airbnb and Verbo will charge the guests extra fees, and they'll charge us extra fees. Yeah. So what we do is, hey, you book directly with us, you get to save money, and I get to make more money because I get to see more of my profit, because Airbnb or Verbo is not cutting into my profit. Right. So it's a win-win for everybody. Yeah. So I love to do direct booking. So that's one thing we began doing more, is like direct booking. They book direct through us. It saves them money, save us money. I mean, we get to make more money. Yeah. It's a win.
Got you. And then what's like the onboarding process so I guess what I want to go to is time commitment, right? So you've got all these guests that are coming into these different units, right? How do you manage the communications, making sure they're getting checked in good? What's that process like?
Man, great question. So we set up a lot of automation. So with Airbnb and Verbo, right, I want to break those 2 things down. They have a lot of things that's set up correctly that helps you with managing the unit. So Airbnb, they have messaging. You can message the guests. You can set up automation where you can put the Wi-Fi information into your listing. So when your guest checks in, they already have the Wi-Fi information. You could put automated messaging to message the guests, checkout instructions, check-in instructions within that. So you have a lot of automation you can set up with Airbnb. Yeah. And you can also do the same thing on Verbo. Verbo is like kind of like the copycat of Airbnb, right? They're like a partner company of Expedia.
Gotcha.
Right. So Verbo is a similar platform as Airbnb, but just through Expedia.
Gotcha.
Right? And then you have Booking.com, same exact thing. Yeah. Similar, just like Airbnb, but what I'll say is they do market to a whole lot more people, right? Because you heard of Expedia how long? Like when I was in high school, I heard about Expedia. They've been around for a minute.
For spring break. Yeah.
So they do a lot more marketing. So you will get a lot of more eyes on your listing if you put it on Verbo, Airbnb, and Booking.com. So you want to use all 3 to get a lot of marketing and get a lot of eyes on your unit, because that's what any business you have. You need marketing. Gotcha. You cannot forget that. You need marketing, need eyes on your product or service you have. But when it comes to managing it, we set up a lot of systems and automation within our property management system. And what it does is it allows us to link all of our listings together that's connected with Airbnb, Verbo, and Booking.com, and put it all into one.
Okay.
Right. And it promotes
so this
on our direct
calendar can stay organized.
Yeah, it can stay organized. So all the calendars would sync together so we would not get double booked.
Okay.
And also it connects to our direct booking website. So if someone books with us directly on our website,
it'll show
blocked off on each of the websites, Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. We stopped using Booking.com. We just like to use Airbnb and Vrbo, but it'll block out those calendars.
That's nice.
We could also set up automated messaging to our cleaning team.
That's
so
what I was gonna
anytime a guest would book our unit, a message gets sent out from our PMS system, automatically sent to our cleaning team that we got a check-in and a checkout is this date to clean the unit.
Awesome. So let's talk about the cleaning company, right? So what you're talking about, all this complete automation system, you probably teach how to make it easy for people. Do you use your own cleaning company, or is this a company that's specifically for Airbnb automations? Because I see them on Google.
Yeah. So I use a specific Airbnb company. So you could use a site. I'm gonna give you guys called Turno. It used to be Turnover B&B, but now it's called Turno, where you could put a bid for cleaning on your units. You could sync it to your calendar, and it'll put bids on your units anytime a guest checks in. We use that. So I tell people use that a couple times, but once you build a good relationship with that cleaner, use them directly.
Because what I'm thinking about, when it puts bids out, how does people still stay on time to get there?
So they'll know. So anytime a guest checks in, it'll automatically let them know that someone's checking in. And if they check out in 3 days later, they could request it. So they have enough time to know, hey, this person's checking out. Yeah, 3 days later to go clean that unit. But once you see they clean your unit really well, because when it comes to clean, that's very, very important. Because if your unit is dirty, because Airbnb and Vrbo is all about reviews. So at the end of their stay, when they check out, they leave you a review. So if that unit wasn't cleaned well, they could put that in their review. So if that cleaner is cleaning your unit really, really good, you want to keep them. If they're not, kick them to the curb, find somebody else.
Okay.
But what we did was, once we had a cleaner that cleaned our units really well, we kept using them. So we use them directly. So now we cut out any middleman.
When you use them directly, do they still get those automated notifications?
Yep, automated notifications. So it's linked with our PMS system. It sends them an email. They get notified immediately anytime a guest is requesting to book our unit. When we accept it, they get an email to know when that guest is checking out, and they could put into the calendar and go get their team to clean the unit.
Got you. So then another thing, how often are you even seeing your units?
That's a good question. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I see them maybe once a month, once every 2 months, if that. Most of the times when I really see my units, when I'm first setting it up, I'm picking out decorations, I'm doing the tour.
Yeah.
That's when I really, really see it. But after that, once it's set up and going, I really don't see it, because my cleaners clean the unit, they take care of it, so I don't really have to go see the unit.
Yeah.
After that.
Is it kind of nerve-wracking? Like, most of yours are probably in Florida.
Yeah,
right?
all of them, yeah.
Would you be scared to do one like in another city where you can't like grab and touch it?
When I first got started, I was like, man, if I do one in another city, like, I don't know how it would work. I won't be there. What someone breaks in? What does this happen?
Yeah.
But since I've been doing it for a while, I wouldn't be afraid to do it, because I would leverage the same system I created here in Florida and do the exact same thing in a different state. Yeah. And I know a lot of people that are doing it in different states all over, and they're doing really well. But the reason why I won't do it is because Florida is just a great market. Like, you don't have to, you don't have to go, like, it's just a good market overall for far as Florida.
Makes sense.
But now, since I'm experienced, I'm educated about the industry, like, I wouldn't be afraid to go to a different state. I was thinking about it. I would probably go to Texas, Georgia, places that's like big cities and big cities and states.
Makes sense. And like you said, with education and what you've taught about corporate leasing and not doing it right and all of this and doing it the right way so you can have longevity in this, right?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
Been 3 years.
3 years, right? Without many headaches, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, I need to learn how to do this, maybe my spouse needs a job, how do they tap in to learn more?
Oh, yeah. So if you want to tap in, you can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Eugene06. And then what we do is we do a free masterclass. So once a week, we do a free masterclass. So if you want to register, you'll go to freeairbnbmasterclass.com. Okay. And you'll be able to register. It's 100% free.
Yeah.
And I teach them these 3 things. Like, I'm actually going to give you information. I had some mentees literally, or some students literally, after the free masterclass, a week later to grab the Airbnb. Like, they'll send me a message in the DM, like, hey, I got my Airbnb. I'm like, what?
So
like,
the results can be quick.
I'm like, they paid attention and took notes and literally implemented it. So, I teach them 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to teach you how to search and find your first Airbnb property.
Right.
Leveraging Zillow, apartments.com, leveraging a real estate agent to find your property for you. The second thing we teach them is we're going to teach them how to fund it. So if they have no money, we're going to teach you how to fund it with no money out of pocket. We're going to leverage, business credit, personal credit, how to fund it. The other thing I teach people is, hey, if you don't have no funds or no credit, you could co-host for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's a website called Co-host Marketplace.
That's cool.
Where you could co-host other people's properties and get paid on their property, a percentage.
What's usually the percentage that you could probably earn as a
10 to 20% on their properties.
Okay, and then just like get your feet wet, learn the game until you're ready to jump into it.
Yeah, until you're ready to jump in. You make some money, you stack your money up, you learn the game. Now you can go full time starting with your own Airbnb.
Dang.
So we teach them that as well.
And what would you say the realistic time commitment once you're let's not even say the beginning.
Yeah.
Once you've decorated it, you list it, you automate it from the stuff that you're going to teach, you get your cleaners. What's the hourly time commitment per week?
Per week? I would say hourly to be realistic. Maybe I would say anywhere from like 10, anywhere from like 10, 20 hours.
Max.
Right? Maybe 20, 25 hours max.
And that's kind of sometimes probably even like passively just reading messages.
Yeah, reading
and
messages and things like that. Yeah, I would say 10.
And that's
20.
most of the work, just reading messages.
Reading messages, responding to messages. If you have all the automation set up with the PMS, the channel manager, you got your cleaning team, you have your handyman team. Like you really don't have to go.
And you're
see your
talking
unit.
10 to 20 hours from home,
From
not
home,
there
from
working
your
and
phone.
sweeping and all that stuff.
From your phone.
Yeah, see that's what I like about Airbnb: full-time pay, part-time commitment.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So they can follow you where again?
At Mr. Eugene 06 on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook, Eugene Fan.
Okay.
On Facebook.
That is his last name, y'all.
Yeah, it's my real last name.
And then the website for the free training?
Free Airbnbmasterclass.com. Go to the free training.
Okay.
You'll learn those things and learn how to get into the game.
Cool. And one last gem for the people that are on the edge that just thinking about doing this but kind of scared.
Yeah, well, one thing I'll let people know is don't let fear stop you, right? Because a lot of times, you're not doing anything, you're not taking a chance on yourself. Like that's the biggest risk that you're taking.
Right.
Right. So take action now. Like go out there and do it now. Right. A lot of time we procrastinate, we push things off to next year, to next month, and we never do it. Right. You want to go out and take action, just do it anyways. Right. Because if you want to get the rewards in life, you got to take a chance on yourself. You got to take a risk.
Yeah.
But doing nothing, that's the biggest risk in life.
Man, hey, you heard the man. That's my guy, Eugene Fan. Anybody looking to get an Airbnb or make your Airbnb business better, make sure you tap in with him, Miss Eugene 06 on Instagram. Y'all know the website. Check the description. We'll see you on the next episode.
All right. Peace.